Hello, and welcome back to The Life with Browns, the place where we go beyond the episodes and dive deep into the stories, the secrets, and the scandals the cameras don't always show you. Today, we're tackling something massive, something that, if true, would completely reframe everything we thought we knew about the collapse of the Brown family. Now, I need to be absolutely clear from the start. What you're about to hear is not confirmed news. This is a speculative deep dive, a what-if scenario, pieced together from insider whispers, exclusive theories from legal experts who followed this family for years, and breadcrumbs left behind over nearly a decade. The pieces line up so perfectly it's chilling. So grab your drink, get comfortable, because we're about to unpack the bombshell theory of the century, the lawsuit of Mary Brown versus Kody and Robin Brown. Kody once said, "It's about the kids. This is just a piece of paper." Robin tearfully reassured us, "It doesn't change anything in our family. Mary will always be his wife." On the surface, it was painted as a noble sacrifice, a selfless act by Mary, the first wife, proving her loyalty and securing the future of 3 children. But nearly a decade later, our exclusive theory suggests something else. That behind the scenes, this wasn't sacrifice at all. It was conspiracy. A calculated move designed from the very beginning not to unite the family, but to strip Mary of her power. And if true, this would set the stage for a landmark lawsuit, one that claims the legal divorce itself was a fraud. Okay, Brown's family watchers, is your mind blown yet? Because we're just getting started. If you think this is as explosive as I do, and you want to follow every twist and turn of this story, hit that like button right now. And if you haven't already, click subscribe and ring the notification bell, because trust me, you are not going to want to miss a single second of the evidence we're about to lay out. Now, let's rewind the clock. Back to 2014. Back to that infamous couch. Back to the moment Mary Brown, tears in her eyes, unknowingly signed away her empire. This financial evidence is the bedrock of the case, but it's the next piece of the puzzle that makes the alleged fraud so breathtakingly personal and cruel. It's the piece that ties it all to the land they once called their family's promised land. We're talking about Kody Pass. The move to Flagstaff in 2018 was a financial disaster from the start. They purchased the Kody Pass property for $820,000, a massive investment that stretched them to their limits. They did this ostensibly as a united family, 4 wives, 1 husband, building their forever homes together. Mary contributed. She sold her Las Vegas home, a home she had poured her own money and effort into, and that equity went into the family pot, the same pot that was now allegedly fully controlled by Kody and Robin. She paid her share. She earned her plot of land. We all saw the maps. Mary got the plot in the trees, the one she loved. But a piece of land isn't truly yours until your name is on the deed. And this is where we come to Exhibit B, the head of household clause and the refinancing scheme. According to these insider reports, when the family was struggling with the finances in Flagstaff, juggling mortgages and land payments, Kody and Robin decided to refinance their massive $1 million home, the one they were living in while Mary was in a rental. Refinancing is a standard financial tool, but it's how they allegedly did it that forms the second pillar of Mary's lawsuit. In order to get the best possible loan, they leveraged the family's primary asset, the Kody Pass property itself. They used the collective value of the land as collateral, land that Mary, Janelle, and Christine had all paid into. But when the new loan documents were drawn up and the new deeds were filed, a funny thing happened. Kody was listed as the primary owner. And who was listed as the sole co-owner on the primary parcel, the one against which the largest part of the loan was leveraged? Robin Sullivan Brown. Mary's name was nowhere to be found. Janelle's was on a separate, smaller parcel deed. Christine's was similarly segregated, but the core financial documents, the ones that tied their new house to the family land, effectively erased Mary's 24-year investment. She was not a co-owner. She was not a primary stakeholder. In the eyes of the bank and the law, her stake in the family property had vanished, absorbed into the equity now legally controlled by Kody and his one legal wife. This, Mary's lawyers would argue, was the ultimate bait and switch. They convinced her to give up her legal status with the promise that her stake would be protected. Then they used that very legal status, their exclusive marriage, to rewrite the ownership of the assets she had helped purchase, cutting her out completely. It was a legal and financial masterstroke. They used family money, including Mary's, to buy land. Then they used their exclusive legal marriage to borrow against that same land, while simultaneously removing her name from the controlling deeds. She was left with all of the risk and none of the legal ownership. This wasn't just an oversight. The lawsuit would claim this was a deliberate act, a head of household clause in the loan application, a box checked, a signature on a line, all small acts that culminated in the legal codification of her demotion. She had been rendered powerless, dependent on the empire she helped build. And the most damning part? She allegedly had no idea. She was never consulted. She was never asked to sign anything. She discovered these discrepancies, according to our sources, much later when she began trying to untangle her own finances in preparation for her eventual departure. The discovery of this financial eraser was, according to these reports, the final straw. The moment Mary realized that this wasn't just an emotional abandonment. It was a cold, calculated financial one that had been in motion for years. The white piece of paper she signed in 2014 wasn't just a divorce decree. It was her signature on her own financial eviction notice. She just didn't know it at the time. And that crew is when she allegedly decided to fight back. Not for her spiritual status, not to win back Kody's love, but for justice, for the restitution of what was systematically stolen from her under the guise of family unity. The stage was set for a courtroom battle that would tear the Brown family's carefully constructed image to shreds. Welcome back to the Sister Wives crew. If you're just joining us, we are deep diving into the confirmed bombshell report that Mary Brown filed a multi-million-dollar lawsuit against Kody and Robyn Brown for fraud and promissory estoppel. In part 1, we laid out the foundation, the tearful promises made during the 2014 legal divorce, and the immediate systematic financial shift that allegedly followed, consolidating all power and money into the hands of Kody and his new legal wife, Robyn. Now, in part 2, we go inside the courtroom. We will walk through explosive evidence, dramatic testimony, and a verdict that shook the entire plural marriage community. The case of Brown versus Brown and Brown, in this speculative narrative, would vindicate Mary Brown in the most public way imaginable. Mary's legal team, Vance and Sterling, never set out to create a media circus. This wasn't about reality TV drama. This was about restitution, financial, legal, and moral. But the nature of the defendants meant the world was watching. The trial would open with Mary's lead counsel, Eleanor Vance, delivering a razor-sharp opening statement. She would paint Mary not as a scorned wife, but as a defrauded partner, a woman who had given her life, her labor, and her finances to a dream, only to be swindled by the two people she trusted most. This case, Vance would declare, is not about love or religion. It is about a contract broadcast to millions, a promise made, a promise broken. The plaintiff upheld her end. The defendants violated theirs before the ink on their marriage certificate had even dried. Kody and Robyn's defense, handled by Sharpen and Associates, would fire back. Their strategy? Tear Mary down. They would dredge up the catfish scandal, accuse her of jealousy, and dismiss her claims as nothing more than bitterness repackaged for profit. This is not fraud, Kody's lawyer would sneer. It's sour grapes, a case built on regret, not reality. And with that, the battle lines were drawn. The evidence was methodical, brutal, and damning. Exhibit A, Exhibit B, each document telling a story of promises broken and money funneled away. Forensic accountant David Chen would take the stand, unraveling years of financial records. Before 2014, family expenses were spread across cards held by Mary, Janelle, Christine, and Kody. After 2015, a new pattern, a high-limit business card held solely by Kody and Robyn, carrying the bulk of family expenses, travel, luxuries, even groceries. Then came the TLC payment trail. Before Robyn's legal marriage, money flowed into a family-owned production company, one Mary co-founded. But by 2016, a new contract funneled payments directly into Kody and Robyn's LLC. Mary, Janelle, and Christine were demoted to little more than salaried employees of Kody and Robyn Inc. The jury would sit in silence as Chen spoke, scribbling notes, connecting dots, watching Mary's life's work shrink into a ledger of losses. Then came Exhibit B, Coyote Pass. A real estate expert would show the jury how refinancing documents gave Kody and Robyn sole claim to property everyone had invested in. When Kody himself took the stand, cross-examination was merciless. Vance, you've testified you always intended to share Coyote Pass equally, yet you and Robyn refinanced using the entire property as collateral without Mary's consent. Isn't that correct? Kody, we needed the money for the family. It was my responsibility. Vance, is it a husband's responsibility to erase his wife of 24 years from legal ownership? Or is that the work of a con artist? The courtroom would erupt. The judge's gavel would pound. But the damage was done. Kody Brown's testimony would follow, confirming the shift in power after 2014, from group consensus to Kody and Robyn rule. And then, Mary herself. This wasn't the Mary from the 2014 couch interview. This was Mary, calm, composed, but unshakably resolute. "They promised me nothing would change," she would say, her voice breaking for the first time. "They told me it was for the kids, just a piece of paper. I believed them. If I had known the truth, that I was signing away my security, my legacy, my life's work, I never would have agreed. They asked for a sacrifice, and I gave it willingly. I didn't know I was funding my own exile." The jury's faces said it all. This was no longer just contracts and numbers, it was betrayal, laid bare. Closing arguments sealed the case. Kody's defense framed it as a tragic love story gone wrong. Vance reframed it as something far colder. On the courtroom screen, she placed two images side by side. The 2014 divorce couch scene, Kody, Mary, and Robyn together. The 2019 refinancing deed bearing only Kody and Robyn's names. "This is not about a broken heart," Vance thundered. "This is about a broken promise. They didn't fall out of love with Mary Brown. They stripped her of her assets, her power, and her place. They told her it was just a piece of paper, but that piece of paper was used as a weapon. And today, justice demands they pay the price." The jury deliberated for days. The world waited. And when the verdict came, the words would echo forever. Foreman. On the charge of fraudulent misrepresentation, we find for the plaintiff, Mary Brown. On the charge of promissory estoppel, we find for the plaintiff, Mary Brown. A clean sweep, vindication. The judge's ruling was scathing. This court finds Kody and Robyn Brown engaged in a pattern of deception, what can only be described as a legal and financial coup. They are hereby ordered to pay Mary Brown $400,000 in damages. The fallout was immediate. Kody and Robyn's empire shattered, their reputations destroyed, their assets on the line. The irony was thick. They might be forced to sell the very house and land they used to erase Mary's legacy. For Kody, it was validation. For Janelle, a final push toward independence. And for Mary, it wasn't just about the money. It was about reclaiming her story. She had been told it was just a piece of paper. The court had declared it was something far greater. It was a contract, a promise, and a betrayal that demanded justice. And that, Brown's Family Watchers, is the stunning conclusion to our speculative courtroom saga. Do you think this theory holds weight? Do the breadcrumbs we've seen on the show fit into this narrative of a long-term financial coup? Or is it simply too outrageous to believe? Let me know what you think in the comments. I want all of your theories. Thank you for joining me here on The Life with Browns. If you found this deep dive as explosive as I did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss our next investigation. Until next time, stay observant and stay curious.